Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Belly to Belly. And we're here today to talk about preparation for SelectUSA, which is coming up in just about 2 months in Washington, D.C. in National Harbor. So we're joined today by Grady Fitzpatrick from Maxis Advisors. Welcome, Grady.
Hey, Bill. Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you and really excited. So, thinking about the companies that, are in the audience, it's companies that have already committed to coming to SelectUSA and probably some that are still considering it. And so, our real goal in this conversation is to give as many of the companies insights to some of the resources that they can meet when they're at the event. And, they probably don't know a lot about what Maxis Advisors does. So if you wouldn't mind, maybe take a minute or two and give an overview of how you help companies that are coming into the US and help them land and succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah, so Maxis Advisors, we are based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we've been around for 25 plus years. And we are a site selection and incentives firm. So what does that really mean? We act as a kind of a trusted advisor for companies, especially international companies entering the US market. US market, we got 50 states that, a lot of preconceived notions of where you should go, where you should locate. And we kind of help bring clarity to that. I kind of put it in 4 buckets, that clarity piece of, quantitative and qualitative analysis, sort of, taking out all of the stuff that maybe you've read and just we're really boiling it down. Second is the data, talking to the companies, figuring out, what's most important to them. Is it supply chain? Is it labor, quality of life, incentives? I mean, all of them are going to be important. How do we rank those when we're looking at different locations for them and then present them with those recommendations? Third, I would say is probably cost. This can get expensive. You can spend a lot of time internally spending, labor hours analyzing this and kind of help control those costs, as well as find the most cost-effective site, which we can talk about a little bit later. And fourth is speed. I mean, if company wants to move quickly, they usually don't have someone dedicated to this, or if they do, it's also they've got another full-time job that they're trying to get done. And it becomes very challenging, especially internationally, right? If you're, needing to hop on planes, companies like Maxis and firms like Maxis can be boots on the ground for those companies, which really speeds up the process and helps that, move that along. Because, as we know, time is money. And so, if there's certain seasons, certain important milestones, we can drive to those milestones for the company.
As I'm listening, and that was such a great description. The thing that I think about with Maxis is their ability to be objective, where, I think a lot of people when they're assessing decisions, we see the same thing when companies are assessing events. There's some emotion to it. I know a lot about Orlando, or I know a lot about, I've read a lot about Silicon Valley. I want to go there. And that may not in context, and as you said, as you put in the weighted scoring and so on, that may not analytically be the best as you look at whether it's the incentives or the labor costs or any of the various metrics that you'd be evaluating. But is that sort of objectivity a big part of the service as well?
Yeah, and we bring a lot of institutional knowledge, right? We work in these markets. Obviously, we work probably in 25 plus markets on a weekly or daily basis where we have those relationships with the economic developers, which are a really important link to these companies. And so, yeah, we sort of look at that while it's a blank slate. We have a lot of that knowledge to sort of speed up that process, like I said. So it's really you can read a lot about markets. You might have visited, like you said, Orlando or New York or Chicago, and those are all great, wonderful cities. But some of them tend to not be a great fit for whatever the company is looking for.
Sure. No, that makes total sense. So let's talk a little bit about the event itself. Obviously, it's an important event. Why is it that it's so important to Maxis? Why do you want to be there?
I think, number one, it's just a great meeting point for, like I said, economic developers from around the US are coming. You've got the international companies, you've got the trade offices. So I think it's become the premier international event for companies looking to invest in the US. You know, for us, for the reasons I talked about above, but we help a lot of domestic companies expand in the US, but those international companies get us, I think, the most excited because that's really where our value is maximized. And we are, our team of 10 is, all of us are former economic developers. And so I think when a community gets an international company, it's just a huge win. And we try to create that win-win. We're not, you know, if we're negotiating incentives, it's got to, the community's got to be excited. You know, the company's got to be excited. And that's why we got into this business. And so SelectUSA kind of brings all those pieces together. And we want to be out front, right? We want to work with these companies. We want to develop those relationships with the economic developers we don't know. And so that's why, yeah, we're really investing in SelectUSA moving forward as we kind of re-engage post-COVID, you know, on the international scene.
Brilliant. Oh, that's great. So the last topic area is around that, you know, any suggestions you would have for companies that are going, for some, it's their first visit to the US. Certainly for almost all, it's their first visit to SelectUSA. Are there particular tips that you would give to companies visiting to get the most out of their trip?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so, you know, it can be a little daunting. You know, I've been, I think the first few times it's a lot of people. You know, one thing that has worked well for me is the breakout sessions and those panels. If there's a topic that's of interest, or, you know, there's usually, yeah, obviously there's going to be subject matter experts on the panel, but usually people in that room are also very knowledgeable or interested in that same topic. So that kind of brings that networking number down a little bit. So highly recommend that. Obviously, I think the setting up those one-on-one meetings, just to, especially early, that you've got a couple familiar faces now. You see them at one of the social events. Oh, I just had a short meeting with Maxis advisors or someone from the state of Tennessee. It's just that warm intro has been already, you know, done at the interview sessions or the meeting sessions. Leveraging the trade offices, I think they can, especially doing your homework before you get there and figuring out, okay, here's maybe a few states, here's a few firms. You know, there's a lot of service providers that can provide, you know, expertise. And I think, you know, overall, everyone's there with kind of the same goal. It's helping these companies. I mean, we want to see that trade between these companies, and having that investment is important for everybody.
I love it. Yeah. So preparation, doing your homework, getting as much, taking advantage of the content as well as the networking, and using the trade offices that are supporting you to pre-plan. It sounds like are some of the top ones. Those are great. Yeah. Those are really good. Well, this has really been wonderful, Grady. I appreciate you taking the time, and gosh, I can't wait to see you in 2 months at National Harbor.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're excited to be a part of it. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you